Hello and welcome to another edition of Business and Financial Raw Talk. I am LaWanna Bradford and I'm excited to be with you again on E360 TV. And today we have a very special guest and we're going to unpackage some things that are happening here in the US and really around the world. And that's change. And the one thing that we know that is always constant is change. And sometimes we feel when it's unexpected, we feel powerless. What do we do next? And our next guest is none other than Coach Liz M. Lopez, who is an executive coach as well as a speaker. And we want to unpackage the fact that here in the U.S., a lot of people are losing their jobs. Individuals who were very secure in where they stood in their careers. Perhaps you're on the verge of getting ready to retire, and suddenly there's a change. Maybe if you're in the government sector, and you've been impacted by the reductions, and then it's had this trickle-down effect within corporate, or perhaps it's at the state and local level. But all we know is changes happen, and you are in a state of crises. But you know what? When you have the right people in play, the right partnerships at the table, no matter what change happens, you can regain your place of footing and seat of control. We'll be right back in just a moment. Hello, Liz. How's it going?
Wonderful, LaWanna. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here with you today.
Well, thank you. I know you're busy, and so we're going to get into this very rich conversation, sort of dissect, unpackage some things, and hopefully give some people some tips on what they can do next, right?
That sounds great. I'm ready. Let's do it.
Well, this episode, it's called The Executive Rebound is Real, How to Do It with Ease, with none other than Coach Liz M. Lopez. What is going on in the world, Liz? I mean, every time I turn, I'm looking at, companies downsizing. The Veterans Affairs is proposing 3,000 reductions by the end of the year. It's a bit overwhelming.
It is. So, I don't think anybody, especially within the U.S., will be surprised to hear that there have been just massive layoffs, of course, in the federal government, tens of thousands of people being exited from long-term careers of public service. But I want to be cautious on the corporate side, because the corporate side, yes, there have been changes and there have been some layoffs, but it hasn't been a mass exodus. And I think it's important to know that while there's a lot of pain happening right now, there's a lot of career ending scenarios that can feel overwhelming, and it's certainly a bombardment of this kind of news. It is important to remember that opportunity is still there. Right? One door closes, another door opens, or we pry open a window. But there are opportunities. It's just harder to find and harder to execute. And that's a lot of the work that I'm doing these days, is walking through that process.
So when you say you help them walk through the process, so the process of uncovering perhaps what it is that they offer and how they might find these opportunities and or create the opportunities, or both?
It's a little bit of both. So there's a couple of different buckets that I'm working in. The first one is the professional that comes to me and wants to make a career move. These people are driven and they have an idea of what they want. Of course, these days, there's a lot more people that have kind of been uninvited to their roles. So there's some unwilling folks making a change, but also enthusiastic about what's next. So we're creating a strategy around how do they do that? How do they translate the work that they've done for 10, 15, 20 years into what's new and available in today's market? And then how to position themselves powerfully for that. The second bucket of work that I'm doing is with people who are in a role and they're happy in their role. Believe it or not, a lot of people happy in their roles, but they know that they're not necessarily being as effective, or their voices are not being heard as much as they'd like. And we're working on leadership development, executive presence, really building that credibility and visibility, not only in their job, but in their industry. Because the key to success these days, LaWanna, is visibility.
Yes. Yeah, I love what you said about visibility, and it's become the buzzword of the day, but people don't know how to do it. It's
That's
like, I want
true.
to be visible, I want to be seen, I want to be heard, I want to be relevant, right?
Yeah.
But how do you present yourself in the right audience, in the right stages, in the right way to create this attraction? And I believe that's what you help them unpackage and then map out a strategy to do that. Is that?
Absolutely correct. And the work that I do is not cookie cutter because the answers for that is not the same for everyone. You have people who are severe introverts. You have people that are very extroverted. You have people that love social media, people that don't. You have people with great networks and people that, you know what, I worked for 15 years at this job. I kind of was really focused. My only friends are the people that I worked with. They're in the same situation that I am. I don't know who to talk to. So the work that I do is very customized. While there's a framework, the actual action plan for every client is unique to them, to their strengths, to their reality, and to their goals.
I think that's so important. Is the For me, the thing that is very offensive is when you sit with a coach and they're not really listening because they have this canned approach and canned template that they're going to give you.
Mhm.
And like you said, it's one size doesn't fit all. Yeah, you have an approach, a process that you use, but being seen and heard is number one. And then being able to, like you said, I customize it and understanding what it is that you do, the skill sets that you have, your strengths, but then those goals, both short and long term, is really key in developing, in my opinion, a strategy that's truly effective and one that gets results.
And there's a lot of emotional maintenance in this process as well, right?
Mm.
There's the strategic part of the work that I do, but then there's also the mindset piece. There's the removing of doubts, there's the fear busting, and there's the slaying of imposter syndrome, right? Job searches are emotional journeys. Leadership development are emotional journeys. People, no matter how successful they are, everybody, all of us, we have our doubts, our weak spots, our things that can shake us. And when you are in a job market right now and it's constant silence, it's, the only thing you hear is rejection. It's so easy to start doubting yourself. I just did a post recently on LinkedIn that I've gotten so many thank yous from because I started out saying it's not your fault, right? This is
Mm.
a very unique, a very difficult, challenging job market that we have not seen the like since like 2010. And it happened very quickly. Last year, I have people coming to me telling me, last year when I was, kind of sort of looking, I had all these calls from recruiters. I could get interviews at the drop of a hat. But this year, it's just silence and I don't know what to do. And then they start to doubt themselves. So there's so much work to get my clients to remember who they are and to be able to speak powerfully no matter how challenging that job market is.
Yeah, I like that. That's very encouraging. Um, you said, I went to your site, and one of the quotes you said is, "While hope is a beautiful thing, only action, only through action can you create the life you dream about." So we have to get out of that fear zone, right? Fear paralyzes us,
Mhm.
places us perhaps in a seat of denial, resistance, but it takes us just to put that one foot in front of the other. And I was thinking when you were talking about the job market, my sister-in-law is an executive, and she's a chemist. And you would think, wow, being a scientist, that would be easy. No, because look at how many scientists currently are flooding the market from the government side of the house.
Yes.
And she was on the corporate side, but they were doing some restructuring. And now she's having to contemplate, do I even stay in this country in order to stay in my field? So just those decisions and questions can be very challenging, especially when you have young ones in college.
Absolutely. Right now, you have the individuals who have been kind of forced into the job market that are dealing with very unique challenges and having to make very big life decisions. On the federal side, you have people that were stationed in other countries and they're having to figure out, do I stay here? Do I go to another country? Do I come back to the US? And then of course that impacts the whole family. The spouse who may or may not have employment, the children who are embedded in schools and cultures. So there's a lot to what's happening. But also on the flip side, you have the individuals who are employed and who know, like, it's time for me to make a move, but wow, all these scary things are happening. Like, is it even possible? And it absolutely is. There's, of course, strategy to have behind that, right? There's work to be done about really customizing that approach. But you absolutely can grow your career no matter what the market is doing.
Love that. We're going to do a quick takeaway and we'll be right back. So you were talking about the importance of visibility. Mm-hmm. And the one thing that I would challenge is visibility for the sake of visibility isn't strategy, right? It's kind of, you're hoping it'll stick. But when you are positioning yourself with the right message in front of the right audience, then the likelihood of you rising above the noise in this very competitive marketplace is a lot stronger. Do you agree?
I absolutely agree. And that, as we talked about before, looks a lot different for different people. And that can be overwhelming for some to say, like, I don't even know what that means. Like, I don't know what does visibility mean for someone who's been working in a role for, 8, 10, 15 years. And through coaching, we really get down to what is meaningful for this person. For some, it's just going to be conversations. And it may be reactivating a very active network, like really getting more targeted with those communications. It can be reanimating a neglected network, which I find all the time, or it could be building a brand new network. And how that is done can be, you talked about doing it with ease. We find the ways in working together, me and my client, of what's the door opener for them, right? What can they step into? That's their first step on the ladder, as opposed to kind of, jumping off a mountain.
So when you're working with the client, do you do, obviously you're looking at, their resume or CV, but do you do like a social media audit on them to just even see how they're showing up in that regard?
So when I'm working with a client, if our engagements can vary in 2 different ways. One, it can be they're in transition. So we are working with their resume, their cover letter, their LinkedIn profile. And then if I have clients that are already kind of in place, we're doing kind of an overview of that, but we're really focusing more on their career development, career management, leadership development. For those who are going through a transition where we have to reinvigorate that professional brand, we are absolutely targeting their LinkedIn profile. Now, there's tools that I give them to kind of monitor their other social media, make sure that they're behaving, right? There's some cleanup sometimes to be done, but really we're focusing on that strong resume that speaks to the value that they contribute, and then how their presence is being seen and interpreted through their LinkedIn profile. Those two are really critical. They're not the entire piece of a job search, but they're critical foundations. So we absolutely, I am working with them very closely on that.
I'm curious, how did you get into this line of work as a coach?
Kicking and screaming in some ways. I was in the corporate world. I was in corporate leadership, and I had a knack for resumes. I did a lot of work with helping people do their branding and some of the marketing content development. And I had a real knack, 18 years ago for writing resumes. So people were like, can you write my resume? Can you do my resume? And having gone through a corporate restructure myself, I thought, what if I just did this full time? And it started out with the resume design, the LinkedIn design. It was incredibly successful when you portray yourself in the job market in a very powerful way. Like the responses really change. And then it grew into the coaching side, right? The interview coaching, the presence coaching, the strategic consulting, the leadership development. It all kind of grew, and here we are 18 years later, where I have a team of 3, and I absolutely love this work.
I love the story, and congratulations on 18 years.
Thank you.
So here's a question for you. So since we're talking about the shifts that are happening, when the government, resumes are like endless. It's all about, because they don't have the same type of hiring system as corporate. So the resume serves as kind of that first, second, and third interview, and then you land an interview. It's typically one, and then you find out if you get the position. So you have executives that are out there with a 14, 15-page CV. What would you tell them right now? I mean, because that's a little intimidating. How am I supposed to compress all of these years of amazing experience that I have?
Oh, this is sometimes painful for some of these professionals, these leaders, to hear, because they're so proud of their entire career. And that absolutely is true, and I honor that. But the realism is that employers are really only going to be looking at your past 10, maybe 15 years of employment. And the resume is not what gets you the job. The resume is what leads to a conversation, to a callback from someone who then evaluates to see if you can go into the interview process. So the interview doesn't have to say everything you've ever done. It's the highlights of your career. It's the powerful things that are evidence of what you're able to contribute, to inspire these hiring managers, these recruiters, to want to talk to you and find out more. And the reality is, you don't have to go to that. 1 page is a myth. You don't have to do 1 page. 2 pages is a sweet spot. And if you really if you're in senior executive leadership, you can get away with 3 pages, right? But they have to be streamlined, customized, and ATS friendly.
I like that. And what you said, it is true. I mean, there's some, we got to get out of our own way, right? The sense of pride, and realize that it's a different system, and the viewing lens is very, very different. So understanding, right, how corporate looks at it. And I love what you said. It's an introduction. It should not be the interview replacement.
Yes, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah, I like that. Well, we are almost out of time. I know that you want to speak specifically with the audience, so I want to give you some time, Liz, to share anything that can help individuals in these times of change and uncertainty.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'm Coach Liz, and I want to let you know that you will succeed in landing that next great opportunity. It may take longer than you thought. Right now, a job search could be 6 to 12 months. It could be shorter, not usually longer. But I want you to really know that the most important thing you can do for yourself is to believe in your abilities, to believe in what you have to contribute. Managing your mindset and your emotional health in your job search is critical, because you have to show up to these conversations strong and truly believing in yourself. So I want you to spend the time to really work on capturing the best of your career. And as we talked about earlier in this particular interview, but so last 10 to 15 years, you really want to focus on what you have contributed, be able to speak to it succinctly, and to make sure that you're able to talk in a lot of different types of arenas. Isolation kills career growth. Whether you are looking for a new job, whether you're in a job and looking to make a change, or whether you are in leadership and just kind of planning far out the next 1 to 3 years, building that network is critical. And it starts with just talking about to the people in your neighborhood, to the people in your communities. Let them know who you are, let them know what you do. And make sure that you're also listening to what they may need, how you can also be a facilitator for them. So you're building mutually beneficial relationships. Talk to a lot of people. Go get out of your zone, leave the house, go make sure that you are genuinely building those social relationships that sustain you and that allow you to meet the next person that may have the right idea, the right introduction, the right guidance that opens doors in your career, whether you're looking for a new job or in your career where you're looking to expand that leadership influence. And so much of this also relates to if you're making that translation from going into either government or corporate career into entrepreneurship. I want you to know that you have value, that what you do is important, that what you bring to the table matters. And if that you need to figure out how to get to that table, how to get your voice heard, investing in coaching could be life-changing for you. My clients tell me all the time that their experience with me has been life-changing, and that brings me just such incredible joy, because seeing people build out their strengths to carry out that long-term success, that is what makes this work absolutely worthwhile. So thank you so much for being here today, and I hope that these words have given you inspiration and courage. Thank you so much.
I love that, Liz. That was powerful. I love the itemization of some key steps so individuals can know where to start, but also how can people contact you if they want to work with you?
So first of all, I am always on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn, and you can find me by searching my name, Liz M. Lopez. You also are welcome to visit my website, lizmlopez.com. And if you want to email me, I can be reached at liz@lizmlopez.com. I will say that if you go to either LinkedIn or to my website, there are links there for you to book a complimentary discovery call with me so that we can talk about your goals and how to get there.
Love that. They can contact you on LinkedIn at Liz M. Lopez or at your website. Let's change this. We got this wrong. I love pre-recording.
That's okay. Yeah, lizmlopez.com.
Liz M. Lopez.
Wonderful. Thank you.
This again. Okay, this is great. So now you know how to reach out to this
website. Let's make sure it's Lopez with a Z.
Did I not do it? Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for catching that.
It happens a lot.
Well, I mean, when you misspelled your own name, I don't feel so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. This is great. So if you're looking for a coach, someone to support you on this journey, contact Liz at Liz M. Lopez on LinkedIn. She loves LinkedIn. Easiest place to contact her, or learn more information about her and her services on her website at lizmlopez.com. Liz, this has been great. Thank you so much for being a part of Business and Financial Raw Talk. Look forward to having you back when we figure out what's happening. Maybe in the next 6 months, we can kind of do a little reflection and see where things are going. Hopefully it'll be a little more settled.
I certainly hope so. But look, no matter what happens, whether things move up, move down, move sideways, there are always solutions. There's always hope. And I'm always happy to come back and talk about what some of those avenues are. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And to our listening audience, we look forward to seeing you next week for another edition of Business and Financial Raw Talk. And just remember that in life and in business, when your vision intersects with opportunity, success is inevitable. Be safe, be well. Bye for now.